but Medicaid expansion and some, it sounds like maybe the individual mandate you oppose. Is there any way to, a lot of folks say, why can't we just modify the law? Why can't we just, quote, fix it? I know you've heard that.
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
I think this is a law that we want to see completely eliminated. And there may be solutions to problems that do exist in the healthcare markets that need to happen. For example, fixing the tax treatment of healthcare, the inequity in how group versus individual insurance is purchased. There's nothing you could do that would have more impact in terms of the overall portability of healthcare and helping many people with pre-existing conditions. I think the dynamic, if you start opening this bill up for fixes, is that anybody who can go hire a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. to preserve the part of the bill that they like, it'll be open season. And so this bill is the wrong piece of legislation. It is jammed down the throats of the American people, and it should be totally repealed so we can then have real conversations about healthcare solutions that will improve the best healthcare system in the world.
At what point do you get where you have to kind of deal with the law? As it, you know, I mean, you'll hear supporters rather say, okay, it passed, it's been upheld by the court, et cetera, et cetera. At what point do you see this as kind of your last ditch effort to try and get rid of it?
I don't think so. I think that's a question that doesn't often get asked of the left because most people know that they're in it and that they mean it. But sometimes it gets asked of Republican politicians. Look, nobody said after Hillary-Care failed in 1994 that left-wing politicians who were continue to push for socialized medicine hadn't heard the lesson of that election or hadn't heard the lesson of that defeat. They kept after it year after year after year until they got what we want. And what we want is free market health insurance. And there's nothing that stands more in the way of free market health insurance until Obamacare. And so this is a fight that we intend to keep up to preserve the best healthcare system in the world.
Let me address the fact that it's being called a law. The president's not following the law. And he's arbitrarily given waivers to Congress, to big business, to some unions, some states. He's not meeting the legal deadlines in the bill himself. And the bill was passed under false pretenses in the first place. Americans were made promises that have been proven false. I mean, it doesn't lower the cost of health insurance, it increases it. It doesn't allow millions of Americans to keep the plans that they had. Millions of Americans are losing their insurance. It doesn't help our economy create jobs, it hurts them. So Americans have every right, now that we know what's in the bill, to demand that it be stopped. And that's what we're trying to help people do, to understand what's happening. And we're telling them at the same time, many are finding out. What we don't want to happen is this time next year, more and more Americans are losing jobs, losing health care, and then by then you've got tens of millions of people signed up for it, and a lot of the insurance they may have had with an employer could have gone away. So now is the last best chance to stop this. It doesn't mean we're going to stop fighting it, because I've said a number of times, we give up on fighting Obamacare, we're giving up on our country, because this is so important to our economic system, our culture, our political system. It's so big that we cannot allow it to go through without a fight.